Every year I get a little bit older, and every year I feel my life getting maybe a little more mundane. My life does age like sweet wine, but there are times where I wake up and I say, I wonder what would happen if I owned a card shop, or I wonder what would happen if I owned my own drug dealing business, mixing up donuts with random marijuana nuggets to create absurdly named hybrids. And I woke up this morning realizing that there is a game out there that can allow me to do this, to be my inner drug dealer that I never able was to be my own Walter White. And that game is called Schedule One. Now, Schedule One may not sound like a drug dealing game, but it is actually referring to the DEA definition of Schedule One, which Schedule One means drugs, substances, or chemicals that are defined as drugs with no currently accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse. Examples of these are heroin, LSD, marijuana, ecstasy, meth, and peyote. Mind you, this is the federal level of the U.S. government. We're not talking about the state legalization of marijuana, but that is what the DEA has to say. But enough about clever names for games. Let's talk about Schedule One. It is currently on a demo version on Steam and it is set to release on March 24th. So I highly recommend you all try this game out for yourselves. But I want this video to be a quick review on the demo and also to give some free publicity for the game itself. So let's go ahead and ask ourselves, do we think Schedule One will live up to the hype? So the first positive that I want to talk about, or that at least it seems like it has going for itself in the demo, that I really does hope make sure it lives up to the hype, is that this seems to be more than your normal simulation game. I really want to highlight and appreciate how games like The Sims, a multi-decade long franchise, has been able to stay relevant for so long. And it does more than just having you work your job or build a family. It does a little bit of everything. And I feel like that's what a lot of sim games miss this day, is that it really just full ham fists into whatever's going on. And for the casual viewer, it doesn't provide enough breadth. Maybe a lot of depth, but not a lot of breadth. Schedule One seems to try to find a balance between those two. You have multiple locations that you can sleep at, work at, buy. You have cars that you can use. You have other abilities, other forms of transportation to utilize, like skateboarding. There's a ton of different unique characters that you have to try to recruit as customers and even potentially as drug dealers. And so it seems to not focus so much on just you grow your drugs, you sell your drugs to a bunch of nameless, faceless people, and it really actually tries to immerse you into what is High Point Town or High Point City. So at least from what we see in the demo, it's headed on the right track there. The other thing that I like about this game is that it does not take itself too seriously. Right off the rip, whether it's you buying seeds for marijuana or you creating your own drug, it immediately takes a very funny way of naming those things, of naming the people. Even just the character models are kind of goofy in their own way. When you get really deep into the game and you start creating just absolutely wild and terrible variants, how they react to them is also hilarious. People getting high straight on the street. It's all kind of comical in nature, and it had me laughing with, I literally created a strand called Fat Cum, and that's just hilarious. That's funny to me. And so I love that it's not trying to be this super serious simulation, and it's kind of making fun of the whole matter. The other thing that I like about it is that it shows a lot of base mechanics and also promises a very in-depth experience when it comes to drug dealing, whether it's automating it, creating larger facilities and bigger processes. It really looks like, and is at least promising, that it will have a lot going for itself in terms of distribution. You're not just a corner drug dealer selling dime bags. You're actually going to create a full-fledged enterprise. To touch on some of the negatives, to almost reverse one of the positives, and one of the things I will be concerned about for the game is will it really have that more full and in-depth simulation experience, or is it just going to be all very surface level? That is a concern I have, and a hope that we don't just get a very surface level feeling from the simulation, from the life aspect, from the living in different places. I want to have a sleep meter, a hunger meter, a stress meter, all things like that. It may seem like a chore, but I think that's why Sims and Stardew Valley are able to do so well as life sim games, because it's more than just doing the task at hand. Stardew Valley isn't just about farming. And so I hope this game can do something similar to that and have it be more than just about drug dealing. The other negative is that it's coming out in early access, and you can already kind of tell from the demo that it's got some bugs. It's not going to be a completely airtight game when it comes out. And that's where these are less of true negatives and more of just like, hey, watch out for these. These may be something that doesn't make it worth its while. But those are what I have from a negatives or potential negatives. But let's ask ourselves the obvious question. Do I think it's going to live up to the hype? I really do. I think this game has enough good bones in it that it will make a good run, that it will get good reviews, that people will find enjoyment in replaying it again and again. I really think it has a lot. The map appears to be huge, right? Even just the demo area, at different points, I felt a little overwhelmed with everything that was going on. And so if that's the case, just from the demo, I can't wait to see what happens on March 24th. So definitely, especially if we're not talking AAA pricing, right? Like $60 range or $70, God forbid. If this is in the $20, $30 range, I definitely plan on picking it up. I definitely think it will live up to the hype, and I really hope it does for you all too. Definitely check it out on Steam right now. Download that demo. Give it a whirl. See if it's going to fit your play style and what your tastes are or not. But yeah, that's all that I got, guys. If you liked what you heard, of course, hit the like button. Would love for you to hit the subscribe button. And as always, this is Last Brohican, and take it easy.